This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, starting at verse 12, and it reads, Behold, think it not strange concerning the fiery trials which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Mashiach Yahushua's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. Verse 14, if ye be reproached for the name of Mashiach, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, all glory to Allah Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Hakadosh, double honors to the elders and to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutation to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Akim thought they're listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. It's Brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Yahweh meaning he is, he exists, or he to be. Ba Hashem, Ba Hashem, Hashem his name. Yahushua meaning he saves or he deliverer. True names of the Most High God and His Son, who these people ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahushua. This lesson is inspired by I've noticed the spirit had brothers going into the MOTB, and you could just, I can't say you because every spirit is different, but some brothers can just flow off the top of the mind, off the top of the head, just through the spirit. Me, myself, I forget a lot of, like that's how I'm wired. So I tend to have certain scriptures. Like if I know the subject I'm going into, I'm going to have the scriptures on deck, you know what I mean? But saying that to say this, some men could just speak on the MOTB, because that's the next thing, if they waiting for that perfect moment to, unveil the shit. But, I didn't, I like to bring out new information because we all trying to learn. I learn a lot from Akim. So, I like to let brothers, I like to bring forth information. Again, we're trying to expose and break down these strongholds, and this place is founded on lies and deceit, So, I was like, call Lord, like Yahweh when I came across some new information. So, Lord willingly is edifying, and then it's spiritual because, I happen to listen to a few different brothers. They did lessons based on just certain things that I was sitting meditating on. I was thinking about, I heard a brother, sometimes brothers get offended because words can heal or hurt. Sometimes when you offend, a brother might not necessarily be speaking about you. I heard the elder say that. He said, I'm not speaking directly about anybody, but he made a statement about, you not giving respect, but expecting or demanding it. And I thought about that because of the fact, I just thought about my personal situation, and, what's spiritual about it is that was something that was going on in the camp. I spoke on this before, so I don't know what's going on. It's just, like I said again, the men of the Lord, put it like this. I understand that order requires discipline. And sometimes, it is a rank and file. You get what I'm saying? If it's not organized, then Satan is busy at it. This nigga's so retarded. This nigga got fucking, that's how you know that nigga's a demon. Anyhow, Salakia. But, it's supposed to be a rank and file. And, like for instance, when a brother is told something, I've been told stuff from younger brothers and took heed to it. You get what I'm saying? Because it's necessarily not that brother speaking, because if we all men of the Lord, we're tools, and the Lord can use any one of us to, correct or rebuke, or, you know what I mean? So it's just spiritual. I mean, I remember I didn't understand that the brother had rank over me, but I said something to a brother, and the brother, instead of getting offended by it, he took heed to it. He respected it. Everybody, and I've had, like I said, men do that to me, you know what I mean? So, but what was the point I was going with it? He was saying how, if you want respect, but you ain't giving respect. And that was going on within our camp, you know what I mean? Like, this man was bucking up to this man, this man was bucking up to this man, and then I was bucking up to this man, and then the young brother buck up to me. And I was like, damn, that's the Lord. The Lord was showing a pattern. The Lord is always speaking, as if you listening, And it's funny how the Lord could judge a man and then he might judge you, The scripture said the Lord loveth judgment, because judgment, if it's not a judgment unto death, you could be corrected by being judged. You got to understand. I'm not the same individual that I was when I first came to truth, because a lot of stuff I didn't understand. A lot of people didn't want to breaking it down, and I get it. It is levels. You know what I mean? Like, I remember elder brother made a statement, or he did a lesson. He was like, you got certain individuals who they just want everybody to make it, and that's the mindset I came in. But the elder apostle made a statement, and then one of the brothers, the young elder brother from New Jersey, one of the brothers, he was up there. He did actually a very edifying lesson. And he was, had a lot of what's the word? Not parables, but he used like metaphors of like Harry Potter and different stuff like that in order to say that it's levels and everybody's not going to level up. And basically the key ingredient to leveling up is faith. The Lord may take you in a direction and just to try your path. That everybody got individual lots. If you believe that you just gonna always be amongst brothers, that might not be the case. You know what I mean? Like, the Lord said He's gonna try us. So like with 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 12, it says the fiery trials. So we go through different trials and tribulations throughout this walk we in. You catch hell in the world too, but in the truth, you understand why you're going through it. So you should be able to bear it a lot better. But the ultimate trying of your faith is going to be that hour of temptation, Revelation chapter 3, when you're going to be tested to see if you're going to, basically take that micro C-hip, that charagma, you know what I mean? And some men going to fail the test. And he was just going into I seen how those two lessons was kind of like very like how you match up a scripture with another scripture. Yeah. Precept upon precept, you get what I'm saying? Those lessons kind of not coinciding, as I think coincide is conflict, but like they kind of they were like, damn, I can't think of a word. I need to start reading a dictionary. So I'm trying to get away from foul language. It's a statement was made talking about how your lack of vocabulary is a small mind. If profanity is your arsenal of words that you can utilize, because again, communication. My brother used to say communication rules the nation. And those that don't talk, or, like for instance, yesterday I went in the gas station and I happened to look. I bought me some little Reeboks. You know what I mean? I like running shoes. I don't like basketball shoes. I like running shoes. Always have, So everybody in there got Nikes on. I got Reeboks. And I just sat and I observed and I thought about it. And it just made me, I just noticed like, yeah, we not of the world. You get what I'm saying? I like what I like, and what I mean. And if you pleasing the Lord can give you. I remember a brother had a very fast lifestyle, and when he came out the truth, the Lord put him in a position where he was still making money daily because of the type of job he had. You get what I'm saying? Because he was pleasing the Lord. I'm all over the place, I know, but I was just like I said thinking about that. So I want to just say a sincere salakia. Because you know what, like sometimes words can heal and words can hurt. But if you getting offended by something that somebody said, it might not they was addressing it. It might not be they was addressing it to you. It might be the Lord plaguing your conscience. Because only the Lord knows what we doing, what we did, and like I said, I heard a brother use the word torment. And if you got a conscience and you going off, yeah, you're going to be bothered by it. And I want to just say, again, I'm one of them brothers, I don't do these videos because I want to be like Alizé or Alice, the top man in Israel. It's important to strive to be better, But no, I don't do this for that. I do this because I'm afraid of the Lord, because I know if I go back in the world, the Lord going to destroy me. And the Lord know how much he give me, you know. If I cared about how many people watched, I don't have very many people watching. So if I cared about that, I wouldn't be doing the lessons. And I'm not saying the brother was speaking on me. You know, I'm just speaking in general. I do, when I want a whole bunch of viewers, is because, again, I see how serious this thing is, and I want all Israel to be saved. But the reality of the situation is all Israel is not going to be saved. You know how, like, brothers be like, this is not hard to comprehend. But in actuality, it is hard for those that don't have the Spirit. That's why it's so much, if you actually, actually acknowledge and truly understand how much this is a gift. Brothers call this glorious and beautiful knowledge, this wisdom, this, you know, like, think about it. We have a spiritual power. We got power right now because we understand what's going on, what's about to happen. It's like we know the future. And then you got these copper top zombie ass motherfucking people that, like I say, I mean, I'm talking about at every place that I've moved, it's literally, and I can catch certain little things knowing that I'm about to be tried. You get what I'm saying? Oh yeah, he retarded. This nigga got a hard head on. He said I'm hard headed. That shit ain't gonna save you. Do you know enough force? You have a hard head on and you gonna die still? That's something that they play with y'all brains with. You ever seen a nigga working on a construction site? He got a hard head and a motherfucking. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is how much these motherfuckers play with your mind. You really think if a certain, like I said, the job that I worked on, we worked. They was pounding. Pretty much, it was an impactor. So they was breaking up concrete, and it's spiritual too, because the brother brought out the Spirit of the Lord be on that brother in the news. The brother brought out how they put pork in concrete. What the fuck is you putting pork in concrete for? This is how much this nigga the devil. So that's probably why the Lord took me away from the job. But you know how big some of the motherfucking bricks was? You know what I mean? Like, so even with a hard hat on, just to be on that site, you had to have a hard hat. But if, like, say for instance, the excavator was a drop of, because like they gotta pick up the rocks with an excavator and put it in the impactor. If one of them rocks would have fell and hit you in the head, you fuck around and die, even if you got a hard hat on. So it's like a lot of the shit that this devil do is like comical for real. I'm gonna say this though. If any man I've offended in the truth, I want to say a wholeheartedly salakia. You know what I mean? Because again, we do serve a power. That's what make our power so totally different. You know, maybe that's why the elder brothers is so merciful. But you see the mercy and how much stuff, you know, I ain't gonna say allowed to go on. What I'm gonna say is, just, you know, like the elder said, you know, you got certain camps where they lord over people. And it's not necessarily about lording. It's about the fact that, you know, order does require discipline. I'll never forget a lesson I learned from an elder in Chicago. We were from out of town, and he judged the man while we was there. And I recognized it was the Spirit of the Lord at a young man in the camp. I think it was like my first trip with them, brother. You know, because a lot of brothers used to go to Chicago a lot, but I didn't go that very. I think I maybe went two or three times, you know. But I'll never forget that. And then to show you how the Spirit of the Lord was really on the elder, that same individual ended up doing some crazy ass shit because it was one brother. I like that little brother. That was a cool little brother. No. Yeah, that shit was about to close again. That brother, he tried to look out for him, although the Spirit had judged the man, leave this nigga alone. And I mean, when we live and we learn, you know what I mean? That's the whole point of growing. If you're not growing, if an individual came in this truth and he been here for 5, and that's what the elder was speaking on. So, like he said, it's about time to clean house again. And it's going to always be that until we get up out of here. Because you got different spirits mingled up in between us. You know? I forgot where it's at. I know it's in the Gospels. We talk about take the net and cast it and catch the good with the bad. So you catch it. People that's in, you know, they in this truth for a minute, or they you know, they got good memory for whatever brought them in the truth, but they not really of the elect. And that's what the brother, from New Jersey was going to. Like I said, he did a very edifying lesson because he was like, and he likened on to the fact that right now the Lord gonna start requiring more. And if you tired now and burnt out, if the Lord ain't feeding you, you might, fall away. The Lord is constantly refining us. And like I said, one thing I fear is going back in the world because I know the Lord gonna kill me. He done let me see too much. You get what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't want to go back in the world. Because, again, I can clearly see it's nothing in the world. Actually, the world is falling apart. You got dumbass people talking about next year going to be their year. How? Donald Trump made the statement. He said gas prices going up. He said he really doesn't concern him. He's unbothered by it. You got motherfuckers can't afford to pay for their gas. So how the fuck you gonna keep the job? I heard the brother bring up about a person had to catch an Uber to work and it cost him $100. Yeah, because gas. So while a simpleton can't even see the shit simply, literally everything is transported by gas. If it's a plane, if it's a boat, if it's a motherfucking car or a truck or semi, anything, all that requires gas to move it. The profit margins using electric vehicles probably ain't there because you got to think about it. An electric vehicle only goes for so long and then you got to charge it. You got people so blind that if we have it, the last boat from the Strait of Hormuz, well, not boat, but ship from the Strait of Hormuz, I think was sent out like last month. So what is they putting in these gas? What we using for these cars to run these cars? So I can't have again, we in these weak ass bodies, you know what I'm saying, again, and certain men are being transformed, you know what I mean? I learned this lesson now. I didn't learn it around brothers. Through what y'all about y'all shot because again, and I can actually acknowledge and I don't want to use the word praise, but admire the elders because they see the bigger picture and they can see like just because you're a part of this thing doesn't mean you are of the elect. Again, if you're not growing in this thing, if you still moving in the same pace and you still like you ain't upgraded in no kind of way since you from the way you was when you first came in here, then yeah, that's stagnant. If the scriptures are like living water, if a water, say for instance a pond usually is filthy because the water's not flowing. Rivers, rivers flow. So that's why that water is usually clean. I don't think you can drink out the ocean because it's salt water. But like I said again, Spirit just jumped on me to say that because again, you can see, the end is nigh. What's that? 1 Peter chapter 4, I think? It says the end is nigh, meaning it's near. Nearer than you actually believe. Somebody just did a lesson about how they was laughing at Trump, China. Yeah, because that's like a nigga that leave, he cussed his mama out, right? He cussed his mama out, leave the house, and then he can't make it, so he got to go back home in front of the same motherfucker you just cussed out. You know how stupid you look? So, again, hopefully you get some edification out of this because, again, I like to bring out new information that, this particular individual I watch, he was speaking on some stuff that I wasn't aware of. So, Lord willingly, you get some kind of edification. Let me go ahead and do this. Fair use, fair use. They tried to hit me with a copyright just the other day.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
free summer special right now for $0 down and 0% interest financing. You can get and our goal is to make World ID.
So some people believe that everything that's happening in the world right now was actually predicted thousands of years ago. There's a passage in the Bible written almost 2,000 years ago, Revelation 13, verse 17. It says,
and that's the spirit, because the elder brother was just in the news, was just going to there. He said these podcasters are going to have to get away from talking about these bitches and go into the the micro here. And I don't think I follow him sometimes. I've done lessons off of videos he's made, but I don't think I've ever seen him speak on this, showing you that, like the elder brother said, everybody watching us.
a mark will be required, placed on your right hand or your forehead, and without that mark, you cannot buy and you cannot sell. This is called the mark of the beast. And for most of human history, people assumed that this was just a metaphor from the Bible, kind of symbolic message that ancient texts used to describe power and controls in ways that people could visualize at that time, because obviously nobody could imagine the technology that would make this possible today. But if you're paying attention to the world and everything that's going on today, it almost seems like everything we're watching is part of some manufactured crisis, a transition in human history with a new opportunity to centralize power.
We are now moving from the industrial age to the intelligent age. We are living in the transition to a new time, which will change everything. It will change how we communicate, how we work, how we live. But now in this new age, the base will be knowledge, data, and intelligent insights.
Now in the modern world, people call this prophecy the digital control grid. And I know how it sounds conspiratorial, but I want to show you some things that are actually happening right now. In 2025, a company co-founded by Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, started deploying a device called the Orb. It's a silver sphere about the size of a bowling ball, and what it does is it scans the iris of your eye to get what's called your biometric signature. It's the one thing about your body that's completely unique to you and can never be changed. Now, in exchange for that scan, you will get something called a World ID, which is a digital proof that you are a real human being. As of right now, over 18 million people have already done this voluntarily. Why would they do that? It's because in a world of AI and robots, how do you prove you're actually a real person? This is how. The World ID is now being integrated into apps like Tinder, DocuSign, Zoom, Shopify, and dozens of other platforms. Sam Altman has said that proof of human will eventually be required by every website, every app, every transaction on the internet.
People are really going to need this, and really going to need to do this in a privacy-preserving way. So World ID is our effort at that, and our goal is to make World ID be this new proof of human for the internet.
At the same time,
So I heard that I know about he tried to get everybody to sign up for something. I can't remember what exactly it was called, and I'm not about to go try to figure it out right now. But when I heard that, because DocuSign, these different apps, these are, I have to use DocuSign. Because a lot of companies, for instance, if you got, I don't know, I usually, for the last few places I've lived, I've been renting from a rent management place. And a lot of these places, they don't want you to come in the office anymore. They want you to do everything online. So you may have to use DocuSign to sign the lease. So again, in order to use certain things that you need, because again, you gotta remember, they're stepping away from doing, everything is pretty much for your convenience. Again, I met a female say that literally, she would take the CHIP. And I was like, bitch, is you retarded? But because of convenience. And then she went by, it'll keep people safer because, you know what I mean? But you got to understand, you listening to, like, the devil is going to play it in a way where it's supposed to be beneficial. But in actuality, it's going to be, by taking this, the scriptures tell you, you're going to basically get a grievous sword. That's a judgment in itself. Not only are you, and then the Lord pretty much is going to let you be destroyed, by, the hellfire, the missile food. You're going to be missile food because you can't basically be, beamed up on the chariot if you got this mark. They already gave you this concoction that pretty much has changed your DNA to a degree. Which that was actually spoken about. Like, they literally gave you some shit that literally you're not considered human anymore. The one particular brother from the West Coast would always go into this. You know what I mean? Now you're pretty much an antenna. Your body has been transformed. But you got to understand, too, again, if you really paying attention to what you read, and, sometimes we speak out of, I know somebody that pretty much, I try not to say shit that's going to be hurtful because, again, I got a conscience and then your words can hurt. Your words can come back and hurt you. You cut somebody out and now they up. Or you shit on somebody and talk some shit and then now they up. And you know what I mean? Like the dude that was bullying on Tracy Morgan when he was younger. You just show you how retarded motherfuckers is for real. How selfish, how proud, you know what I mean? That's why certain people are set and made as examples of what not to do. Like the elder said, and true leaders, aren't, she said that in that Walking Dead too, or Fear the Walking Dead. She said, the elder said that. He was like, you know what I mean? And, which I agree with, certain men like Julius Caesar and these different generals were loved because of the fact of, how, they was right, like King David, he was right beside his men. To the point where they recognize, oh yeah, you getting older, brother, you can't be out here. You the hope of Israel. You know what I mean? Right. But again, this thing is coming way sooner than later. You got to think about it. And like the elder brother's been going into, that's why you got them over in that land. So China has a surveillance state. I didn't even realize that. Imagine that 200 cameras watching you. Do you understand if it's so many, they say it's like, what, 1 billion people over in China? And that was years ago they've been saying that number. But I do know that the government pretty much strictly monitors how many children you have over there. Like, you just can't be popping out babies like here. Like a nigga hate it over there. you just can't, like I say, I think each family is allowed like 2 children or something like that. But just imagine that 200 cameras watching you. So if it's 1 billion people over there, do you understand how many? That means anything you do, they watch it. So you ever seen these futuristic movies where just like, yeah, so they could show up at your house. You know what I mean? You talk about like off of that movie V for Vendetta and come snatch you at the end of the night. What I've been noticing lately, our city, they've been doing it for a little while now. Like, they'll just snatch you. You'll see a car just parked on the street because they done snatched the nigga up for whatever, warrant or whatever the fuck going on. They done snatched him, but left his vehicle. They're waiting for the tow truck to come get it. They not waiting for it. So, like I said, they gonna have the power if they surveilling you like that to just come snatch you up, and nobody will be the wiser of it. Nobody will even know. Just like that movie V for Vendetta. But again, it's an hour of temptation coming because, the scriptures tell you that we all gonna be tried. It's basically just like that fiery trial in 1 Peter chapter 4, the hour of temptation, which you're gonna be put in a position if you're gonna accept this or not, is pretty much gonna come upon the whole earth. This is the book of Revelation chapter 3 in verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So, if you really like got any common sense or, living in reality, actually can understand what the fuck is taking place, you can actually see it. Because you got people that don't live in reality. Like I said again, I met this Northern Kingdom brother at my last job, and he was so like I ain't gonna say confounded, but he was just like kind of like what's the word? Like just kind of he was shocked. Basically, that's the best word I could think of, because to see how stupid these people is. Like he was talking to somebody and they was like pretty much they thought that the food come from the grocery store, not understanding the supply chain or how shit work. No, food is slaughtered, then it's sold, and then it's packaged, and and then it's, unless it's coming from like a place that could package it there, but then basically it's steps that it gotta take place before it gets into your grocery store. You understand? And then when it gets to the grocery store, but you got people, that's why brothers always break it down. It's a limited supply of food. And you saw that during 2020 when, they locked this place down and shelves was going bare. So just imagine if we ain't getting a lot of goods from the Strait of Hormuz because it's closed to us, or supposedly it is, because again, I think they under a ceasefire again now because they went over to China. I think I just saw an article or read an article title where it's saying that pretty much Trump is threatening Iran about the time is moving, is basically the clock is ticking or something like that. Something along those lines, you know what I mean? So it's got to be like a ceasefire. But just because it's, this shit slowed down doesn't mean it stopped. Again, you got to understand, to move those ships and, aircraft carriers and all these, this weaponry and all this shit over to that land is literally cost millions of dollars. I don't see them turning back around because they invested now. It's like, you can't say that, because I was thinking of Boys in the Hood. Yeah, where he got in the car and then at the last minute got out. But pretty much, again, they gotta make something happen because we broke. Well, not we, they broke. The elder did a lesson on that. America been broke since last year. Verse 11, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast, which thou hast no man, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast, which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. I thought this one would have a concordance. This dumb. This is a garbage. I got a better. Well, this is on a different phone. So, but scriptures tell you in the book of 2 Ezra chapter 13 about how Yahushua is going to personally give the elect men crowns. That's why it says we're going to be a nation of kings and priests. So it's a reward for striving against it, and it's going to be a judgment for actually partaking in it. I don't have to get Revelations chapter 13 because he brought it out. You know what I'm saying? It's the book of Revelations chapter 16. I'm going to start at verse 1 and it reads, 6 bowls of wrath. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth. And you seeing that take place now. You know what I mean? The seals are being broken. That's why you're seeing all this, all these different, these different plagues, tribulations, these different judgments, all this shit that's going on the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped the image of the beast. So like it, and upon them which worshipped his image. So, again, that's going to pretty much those that chose to partake by, partaking and receiving that mark, that microseed, the charagma. Because you got to understand, and make a lot of sense because you got to think about it. Your body is designed, brilliantly. When you got a disease, that means your body's is not at ease, dis-ease. So in order to, heal yourself, you got to get your body back into, you got to, like for instance, if it's something foreign in your body is designed to, you got white blood cells. They're designed to, fight and kill infections and whatnot. So if this is a foreign object, if the body recognizes it's not supposed to be there, it's going to fight against it. And that's why you're going to produce those grievous sores. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 9. It's a judgment. It's a reward for those that choose to strive to the truth unto death. Because, some individuals may have to die. Each man's test is different. I think about my test now. And again, like I said again, I still wholeheartedly love brothers. You know what I mean? I just talked to a brother like maybe, a month ago? Because we both deal with an individual, in regards to, something that we utilize. We all got to, we all knew a particular individual. And, brother called, and I just so happened to go do something, and he so happened to be on the phone. And we spoke, you know what I mean? You don't know, that's the whole thing about having faith. The scriptures say the Lord's going to try you. I watched the video that the brother did where you have family members, especially they're talking about another app using the microphone. What are you talking about? It's a little weird shit, man. Let me end this because it ain't never did this. Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9, it reads, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. The beast is these NATO nations. The whore is Babylon the Great. Because pretty much, that's why America's allowed and able to sanction all, these different nations from Iran to, Cuba to all these different, places. But the scriptures tell you the beast gonna hate the whore, and it's already being shown. That's why when Babylon the Great or DJ Trump asked the NATO nations to get involved in Iran, they said, no, fuck you. You know what I mean? They said no. Although they all supposed to be in agreement. NATO, it means pretty much they all supposed to come in like an alliance with each other if it's a war. So why do you think that literally they didn't come to America's aid? Donald Trump said we about to just take Greenland. He said we're going to just take Canada. You can't see that you in the wickedest place on the planet. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. Righteous anger. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Verse 11, and the smoke of their and that's ultimately, if you receive that microseed, you're not going to be able to be delivered or received on those chariots. You got to think about it. Just go look up, like intercontinental ballistic missiles, you know, and look at the devastation that they pretty much can do. The people will think we're crazy that we hoping to be delivered from this through what they call a UFO. But when you see the amount of damage that these things could do, ain't no car, no bunker. They got fucking missiles. America got bunker busters, missiles that basically can impact and blow up the fucking bunker. So you gotta trust in and hope in something beyond just, like, I challenge you, just go look up some of these motherfucking, like, you know, just go look up images and different, like these things being utilized in real time. You gonna understand, oh no, I need some higher power to save me. And the smoke of their torment is sended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Verse 12, here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahushua. You know, so we hoping to be delivered from these things, you know. So, you know, the hopeful elect's mindset is, you know, scriptures talk about strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord will give you a crown of life. That's another scripture about crowns. So it's a reward and it's a judgment, and it all comes from whatever you choose with this microcia. And yeah, the Lord gonna try you. Like I said again, you can see the system breaking down, and you know what I mean, everything more strict. Now, you know, because I get public assistance, I understand that I can be taken off of it at any time, you know what I mean? Yeah. But now they asking, is you a citizen? What the fuck is you talking about? You don't know who's citizens and who's not. Because it's not how you think it is. Like they made this shit such a big ass deal. You got people that's not necessarily citizens here, but paying taxes. Did you know that? That's how dumb motherfuckers is though, man. Like, again, and I'm not the smartest person. I'm just not a fucking fool. Motherfucker tell you, I love you, I love you, I love you, but then they doing shit that hurts you. How much do you really love that person? Our brother said this. He said, you don't even want to go pick this man up or look out for this brother when he in need. So how you going to say you're going to be willing to die? But that's between them and the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Again, we all going to be tried. Like I said, it made me think about what the elder was saying. It's constantly refining this thing. It's going to always be, you know, the Lord saying, you know, basically it's always going to be trimming of the fat. That's the best analogy I could use. Because like I said, like the elder and the elder brother from New Jersey said, you know, everybody's not leveling up because everybody's not others. So again, if you're not growing, if you're not, because we all sin, we all go off, we all fuck up. The most, you know, again, you might be admire something about a particular brother and it appears to be a certain kind of way. But I've seen brothers that catch hell. You know, it's not all, you know, when brother tell you maybe you should be chasing after these women because a woman requires your attention. And we just humans, we ain't got time for everything. You know, I think about it now. I'm grateful that the Lord gave me children because, again, I actually experienced love. I've been told people love me, you know, but people that think they love, you don't even really understand what love is. You know, what is love? You know what I'm saying? No, some people are infatuated. That's not love. So I'm going to end the lesson there, you know what I'm saying, again, because I pretty much made the point and I ain't mean to be all over the place. Salakia for that. But, yeah, I mean, again, that's the spirit that I came across something new. Because like I said, again, it's not about I got to be the only one with these. It's about it's about the fact I like to bring out information that can be beneficial, you know. I might even do a lesson about that on my next camp, you know. And, like, find out more information about that, you know what I mean? Because you got to understand, these people actually have the power to direct society in the means and ways. And people be like, that's far-fetched. They can't do that. No, nigga, they made everybody stop using analog and made you switch over to digital. What are you talking about? That's how we in a digital age. So why wouldn't you have everything is digital? Fuck. So why wouldn't the money be? You got to understand the monetary system already fucked up. They took away the penny. That one little strategic move, you're not even getting your proper money. You get what I'm saying? They came up with rules. Well, if they supposed to give you 2 cents, if it's 4 cents and under, they don't have to give you nothing or some shit like that. But then if it's like 9 cents and above, you got to round it up so they got to give you a dime. Like, this shit crazy. So, I'm going to end the lesson here, because again, it's just being made manifest before your eyes. And Lord willingly, if you are the hopeful elect, you can see, comprehend, and understand, and you strive to fight against this shit. You can't truly fight against it. All you can do is, strive to remain loyal to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So with that, I'm going to end the lesson. If you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of your power. Whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to call Elohim La Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Shem. Godash, double honors to the elders, to the apostles, whom I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the 4 corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Aqua, to listen and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasharallah and Mawaf Lababal.